Most animals are very emotional beings. If they connect with you, they'll remember you fondly forever. Sometimes they have to spend time away from their favorite humans, and this separation is very, very painful for them. When these animals are reunited with people they formed a deep bond with, their reactions are so wholesome that they can make the most cold-hearted of us tear up. So, grab your Kleenex, sit back, and stick to the end as we talk about 25 animal reunions with humans that'll definitely make you cry. In 2005, Lamont's entire life was uprooted because of the horrifying Hurricane Katrina. His home was destroyed and he even lost his beloved dog Cleo. When the two found each other 10 days later, it resulted in one of the most heartwarming moments ever captured on film. Look at how Cleo can't stop hugging and licking his owner. He's so happy to meet his best friend once again. There's really nothing quite as pure as a pet's love. In 2013, Oklahoma resident Amy Lewis was also separated from her dog Bambi because of a tornado. Amy thought that she'd never see her best buddy again. She looked everywhere and eventually found her in a shelter with 100 other animals. Both Amy and Bambi were overcome with joy when they saw each other. Amy couldn't hold back her tears and started crying uncontrollably. We understand, Amy. We really do. Marine Jacob bonded with a military canine and decided to adopt him. When he was deployed for a few months, his dog thought about him all the time. Life just wasn't the same without his bestie. When the soldier finally came back home, his family brought the dog to the airport, and both the pet and the owner were beside themselves with happiness as they ran towards each other. Who says cats secretly hate their owners? When this soldier returned home from the war, his cat made sure he got a super warm welcome. She started meowing excitedly and then jumped up into her owner's arms. That's so wholesome. This little boy had lost his cat 7 months ago and was not expecting its return at all. When his parents finally found his pet and chose to surprise him, he started sobbing and hugging his long-lost friend. You can tell the boy had not stopped missing his cat for even a single second. Okay, so you probably expected dogs and cats in this video, but did you know that cheetahs can also form a very deep bond with their caretakers? Gabriel had to spend an entire year away from the person it was most attached to, since it was an 8-month-old cub, Dolph. When they finally reunited, Gabe was visibly overjoyed and rushed towards its human pal, and started hugging him, rubbing his face against him, and licking him lovingly. If you're shocked by a cheetah being this adorable, wait till you find out about these wolves. Anita spent around 2 years socializing with a pack of wolves in Norway. During this time, she formed an unbreakable bond with these apex predators. When she returned after a 2-month absence, the pack raced towards her and surrounded her. They were all ecstatic to see her friend and didn't really know what to do with themselves. Wolves are actually very physically affectionate, and you can see that here. They all missed Anita so much. And Christian the lion missed his friends, John and Ace, very much too. They adopted this lion when he was just a little cub, but had to send him to Africa when he became a bit too big for their apartment. There, Christian became the head of his own pride. A year later, John and Ace really wanted to meet him, but they were warned that the animal wouldn't recognize them and would attack them. However, that didn't stop them. When they found Christian, he immediately knew who they were and embraced them affectionately. And that's not all. He even introduced them to his girlfriend. Yeah, we're crying. Speaking of crying, poor Aaron Morris's car was stolen with his darling dog Jolene still inside, and the cruel thieves actually abandoned her in a different state. When Aaron found her inside a dog shelter after weeks of searching, both dog and human could breathe again. Jolene jumped into her bestie's arms and they just couldn't stop hugging each other. What a beautiful moment. There's absolutely nothing worse than losing a pet, and Aaron's not the only one who had to deal with this. Scared by fireworks, Dora jumped a fence in her backyard and got lost. Her distraught family spent months looking for her and left no stone unturned. 7 months later, they finally found her miles away from her home, and understandably, things got very emotional. Look at how happy they all look. We're so glad Dora and her family were reunited. Did you know that donkeys are actually very affectionate? Upon spotting the girl who raised him and took very good care of him, this donkey quickly came towards her and tried to show her how happy he was to see her. Haha, just look at them. True love really does exist. Like donkeys, horses are also very loyal to their owners. This girl had to sell her beloved barrel horse, Spook, to help her mom out financially. She was heartbroken and never really got over her pet. 4 whole years later, she was finally reunited with Spook, and she couldn't stop crying. We're so glad they're finally back together. It's what they deserve. Now let's talk about some adorable elephants. Elephants of the Kamla herd grew attached to Derek after he spent several years with them. When they had to spend 14 months away, it was obviously very hard for everyone involved. When he came back and called out to them, they rushed towards their old friend and gathered around him. One of them even tried to hold Derek's hand. If you thought elephants running up to their friends was cute, wait until you see this. This lion had to stay apart from his best friend for a very long time. When he finally saw his human buddy, he ran up to him, jumped into his arms, and hugged him very tightly. Who knew lions were such huggers? Now how can we talk about huggers and not mention bears? This orphan bear Sonia was reunited with her caregiver after a few years and was overcome with emotion. She was euphoric and kept hugging and playing with her old friend. This just goes to prove that if you take care of any animal, it'll reward you with the sincerest form of love. And that's exactly what Shai discovered when he came home from a long trip. His pet rabbit Beanie was very excited to see him and gave it an incredibly enthusiastic reception. Beanie ran towards his owner and started licking him affectionately to show him how happy he was. There's nothing better than seeing a happy child, right? This 10-year-old boy from Florida lost his dog for 2 whole months when his parents found the pet and surprised their son. The kid got so emotional that all he could do was sit on the floor and tearfully hug his best friend. This kid also lost his dog for around a month, and when he realized that he had been found, he couldn't help but burst into tears. A child and a dog's love is really something special and can actually be very healthy. After little Carter's brother passed away from cancer, the only thing that helped him get through that extremely difficult period was his dog. Sadly, it got lost for about 3 long weeks. When his mother eventually found the pet, she decided to surprise her son. Upon seeing his friend, Carter started weeping and was overwhelmed with happiness and relief. Have you ever heard of a loving gorilla? Zookeeper Damien raised a gorilla called Queeby and then released him into the wild in Africa so that he could live his best life. After 5 years apart, Damien decided to pay him a visit. Surprisingly, Queeby not only recognized him, but he was so happy to see his old friend that he did not want to let him go at all. The two rekindled their friendship and spent some quality time together. After the chimpanzee Limbani was abandoned by his mother, Florida couple George and Tanya adopted and raised him. He later started living at the Zoological Wildlife Foundation, and when his foster parents came to see him, he screamed with joy and jumped into George's arms. This cute little chimp was so happy that he was continuously smiling. War really sucks. If you don't believe us, ask the Ukrainian man who was separated from his dog due to the turmoil in his home country. He probably thought he was never going to see his best friend ever again. So when the two finally reunited in Kyiv, it was as heartwarming as you can imagine. He couldn't stop smiling as his dog ran towards him for a big and long-awaited hug. If you're going on vacation, please take your pet with you. When this dog spotted his owner at the airport after weeks of being apart, it couldn't contain its excitement. It rocketed towards its best pal, put its arms around him, and started showering him with love. Haha, these two should always stay together. This horse was deprived of spending time with its human companion because she was on vacation. When she returned, her horse started gleefully running towards her as soon as it saw her. Isn't it nice to know that you were missed? Freya the German Shepherd had to spend a few months away from her owner as well, and she clearly felt her pal's absence. When the two were reunited, Freya started screaming and spinning around in joy. Who knew a ferocious German Shepherd could be such a softie? These kinds of heartwarming moments are exactly what makes life worth living. Alright, which one of these reunions did you find the most touching? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Trend Joint, and we'll see you in the next one.